Hello all and welcome back to my Big Discussions 76 original channel where I now discuss general topics, money, current events, and so forth, and where I will now have on what I consider to be compelling guests. Please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. So I am back in Northern Virginia now. The last two videos I shot were up in my hometown of Buffalo, New York. I think one was in my mother's driveway next to the garage. And then I shot another one last week in Delaware Park, sitting under a tree. That one was impromptu based upon something I heard earlier that morning. But I wanted to, well, what's interesting is that the previous night before I shot that video in the park, there was some rioting in downtown Buffalo. And when I got home, me and my mother looked at the news, and we'd heard some rumblings about it the previous night, but some kid or some group of individuals tried to throw a fiery object or bucket into City Hall. So that was a big deal. And there's been news of activity of all kinds, not only throughout the country, but also in my hometown of Buffalo as well. In addition to that, that arson incident last week where they tried to set City Hall on fire, there was some news yesterday that many of my friends and acquaintances were texting me. I guess some police officer shoved down a 70-year-old man yesterday, and he hit his head on the pavement and was bleeding out of his ear. And our mayor Byron Brown was making the rounds on the news last night to do damage control. So there are riots and protests in Buffalo and riots and protests everywhere. And I wanted to just say a few words on what's going on. I want to make this video short. Once again, no title slide, no credit slide. This is just very impromptu. So I want to refer back to my Digital Spaces interview. I'm sorry, not my Digital Spaces interview, but my Digital Spaces video. I shot a video about being careful about sharing information over into my Facebook network, and I probably won't share this video over there, but looking at Twitter this morning and some of the other digital spaces, I've seen a lot of alarming things. We know that there have been protests during the week for the last week in Buffalo, here in DC, up in Minneapolis, out in Los Angeles. And there's been numerous reports about the protests. We know that there's been looting going on. We know that there's been arson going on. We know that there's been all kinds of things going on. But what's interesting is that, again, you have to look at the different digital spaces to get an accurate read on what's happening. Some of the things I've seen on Twitter this morning have been pretty alarming. I've seen some violence between ethnic groups, and I'm not talking about black versus white, but I think I saw some things where there was some violence from black people perpetrated against Latin Americans. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and you have to look in multiple areas to get an actual accurate picture of what's happening. You're not going to get everything from MSNBC and CNN and Fox News, and you have to look at alternative sources to get the most accurate picture. And on YouTube, I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm not going to mention off and read off content creators right now, but there are content creators sharing things like violence against other ethnic groups, such as apparently there's a lot of violence going on, police violence and brutality going on, or perpetrated against white civilians as well, even though it's being portrayed as solely violence against black people. There are content creators stepping up and saying, well, even though I don't support what happened to George Floyd, I don't personally support George Floyd. I probably wouldn't get up and say that. And see what else. What else is being said? Oh, there are numerous content creators that are, saying this is what's happening now. Are the chickens coming home to roost for the United States? So just let it burn, and let it burn, and just let it burn. There are content creators such as myself who have said, you know what, be careful, because the businesses that are being affected might not come back to the neighborhoods that are being burned and looted. And, some people are saying that, the president is taking more steps towards an Adolf Hitler type of thing. So this is a very dynamic time, and it's a very unique time, and it's not quite clear what the outcome is going to be. But I think this is very much our 1968, my generation, that is, as we didn't live through 1968. So this is a very pivotal time for our country. What's the solution to all this? I think that, again, we need fair and honest policing. I think personally that the majority of our law enforcement officials and members and workers, I think most of them are honest people, and it's probably a few rotten apples spoiling the bunch. But I think that in terms of public perception and actual practice, we need honest and fair policing. We need accountability amongst the police. That's very much a brotherhood, and they all do seem to circle around one another, even when one officer or some officers do something wrong. I think we need more stringent police training, maybe more mental health screens before officers go into the police force. And I just think we need more accountability throughout the ranks of the police. It's very, very powerful when we see them step up and condemn one another and speak out against one another, as opposed to just locking arms and saying, you know what, this person did something bad, but they're one of us, so we're going to defend them to the death regardless. So we need more police accountability. I do think the president needs to say something. I think he's stuck to his talking points about law and order, and defending our nation. I definitely think we need law and order, and we need our nation to kind of go on, so that people can work, and so that we have a functioning economy. I think that's important. But throughout history, during times of tragedy and turmoil, such as 9/11, and some of the things during President Obama's tenure, at times the president needs to be a bit of a pastor, and I don't know that that's in President Trump's skill set personally, but there are times when the president kind of needs to soothe things and try to, from a moral standpoint, make things better. So I think that we do need President Trump to do some of that right now. And then guess whose name has come back up? Colin Kaepernick. Yesterday, Roger Goodell released a statement apologizing and saying that the league perhaps had things wrong. And, this has shoved Colin and Jamil Hill and all of those individuals back out into the forefront. And I've wondered myself, I wasn't a fan of Colin kneeling at the games and being a distraction at the NFL games, but this all does beg the question, was he onto something? Did he have it right? And this suggests that he did have it right, and this is something that we as a nation need to address going forward. But as I said, as some of the content creators on YouTube have brought out, is this just something happening to black people, or is this a system-wide law enforcement thing where you have rogue cops and where you have police brutality being perpetrated against people of all races and ethnic groups? I think that's something we also need to ask ourselves going forward. But I think the answer is we need more police accountability, and we need the good cops to stand up and condemn the bad cops, and we need our cities and municipalities to sufficiently punish the bad cops once they've done something bad. I think it's a problem that the city and that municipality in Minneapolis where this George Floyd murder happened, they did not throw the book at Derek Chauvin and the other officers who were there right away. It's been something they've gradually ratcheted up as they've seen these protests unfold. No, they should have gotten the book thrown at them much faster. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to shoot a video now over on my entertainment and media channel looking back at the movie Training Day, because as I was driving back from Buffalo, I thought about Training Day and how it relates to this current situation, and I think it very much does relate to this current situation, and I think it's worth shooting a video over. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Once again, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to this channel. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye. Something I forgot to say in the main part of this video, I want to keep this outro short, is that while we need more police accountability and we need the good cops to stand against the bad cops and those kinds of things, we need the police, or we need some form of policing to have a civilized society. I think I was watching one of Anthony Brian Logan's videos yesterday where there was a call of some sort to stop funding to the police, but I just think that one of the things we need to keep in mind here is that for our way of life, we need a police force. We need someone to enforce, law and order, and to manage crime and prevent crimes and deter crimes. And if you just think about how things would run amok if there was no police presence at all. So, while all of this is going on, while there are riots and protests going on, there are going to be some radical factions who will say that all police are evil and we should do away with the police. But I think we all need to keep in mind that all hell would break loose if there was no police presence at all. So that's what I wanted to say.